Unpopular opinion time, but I think that Galarian Darmanitan should be unbanned, or at least deserves a suspect test in Pokemon Sword and Shield OU. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a backstory and try to explain why I'm thinking this. I actually had this conversation with ABR and Giannis, who both also feel the exact same way. Now, let's go back to 2019 before the world is what it is right now. But in 2019, Dynamax got banned from OU on December 16th. So on December 16th, Dynamax was banned from OU. Darmanitan was actually shortly banned 13 days later via quick ban. So, obviously during a Dynamax metagame, Darmanitan was just absolutely busted, right? Not only was Choice Scarf a really good revenge killer, and its guerrilla tactics gave it the ability of a choice ban as well, which was amazing for its great offensive stats and great offensive attacks, Nicer Crash, Flare Blitz, U-Turn, and either Earthquake or Sewer Power, depending on what you wanted to use. You could just bust out of your moves, and for example, if Ferrothorn came in on Icicle Crash and took like 39%, you could Dynamax and go for a max flare and knock them out. So it was pretty busted in that regard. Same thing with Toxapex coming in on an Icicle Crash, and then you max Quake them after. Granted, when you max, you obviously don't take the boost of choice moves, but it still worked in Galarian Darmanitan's favor because of base 140 attack, and obviously all those max moves are straight up busted. However, I feel like Galarian Darmanitan never really had a true metagame where it got to play in. Dynamax was banned as a whole, which means that it was deemed broken overall in the format, and I think for the most part, a lot of people who at least play singles, especially during that time, agreed, right? This was something that, while it wasn't necessarily it wasn't necessarily like anything that we could suspect it, right? We voted to do this. He says right here. So Dynamax is voted on, banned through a process. So suspecting the process suspect involves opening up a formal discussion thread. So people voted on it, people talked about it, whatever. I don't think anybody misses Dynamax. In terms of Dynamax Z moves and megas, Dynamax probably being one of the worst things for singles. Anyway, VGC, different story. But for singles, it was definitely crazy. Max Airstream, way too broke. I don't understand why Max Airstream, and again, I'm not trying to get too off on tangent, but I don't understand why Max Airstream is how strong it is when it gives you such a great secondary effect when Max Knuckle and Max Ooze are weaker. But anyway, so this banned Darmanitan with guerrilla tactics, and at the same time also banned Zen mode Darmanitan, which used to occasionally come out and run like sub belly drum, and it was really fun to use too because it's actually stronger and is faster as well. So something with sub belly drum and Salad Berry. However, 13 days later, Darmanitan was quick banned. There was no suspect, nobody was able to vote. It was just deemed too much for the tier, and it was gone. And a lot of people had issue with this because even though Darmanitan was probably broken, like just definitely broken, we did not have a chance to have a voice on this. This was just deemed by the OU Council, and I think that 13 days is just not enough to have a metagame develop. The December metagame versus the January, February, before, pre-home. So pre-home came out. Before home came out, so obviously at pre-home, was way different than what we saw after. In fact, let's actually look at some of the usage stats for that. So you see Dragapult, Corviknight, December. This is January usage stats. So this came from December. So Darmanitan was still there. Dragapult, Corviknight, Darmanitan, Seismitoad, Excadrill, Ferrothorn, Clef, Hydreigon, Ditto. Some mons that you don't usually see here, Hydreigon and Ditto, of course. Rotom Heat was just finally being used as a defensive pivot, with Dynamax being banned, and people were like, oh wow, this can take on Galarian Darmanitan. Granted, a lot of people know Galarian Darmanitan either flinched you or missed Iso Crash. There was no in between. We still had Hatterene up here as well. Dracovish was still in the tier, which is what caused Seismitoad to be number 4 in usage. And then obviously other threats like Bisharp, Conkeldurr was there because of Darmanitan, Galarian Corsola. You see Mimikyu. So you see a lot of Pokemon freaking Jellicent specifically because of Dragapult, but also secondary checking Darm too. So you see a lot of Pokemon, even like Rotom and stuff, like things that you didn't usually or typically see BOU, though that's actually the cutoff line, I believe, right over here. Things that you didn't typically see BOU and just being used because we were still just adapting to how the metagame was after the Dynamax ban itself. So Darm only had 13 days. I believe that's just completely unfair for Darmanitan. I do believe that choice ban is crazy, right? Like, it gets a kill, but on the opposite side, you know, Darmanitan can't really abuse any other items besides choice items. Like, it can use heavy duty boots, sure, to avoid stealth rock, but it can't switch up moves because of its Gorilla Tactics ability anyway. So cool, you could switch in, but you don't have the choice scarf boost, which makes you a fantastic revenge killer and just a potent threat in general because of your choice band boost. And obviously you don't have the choice band, which makes you uncounterable in a sense of the word, right? So Darmanitan's basically locked into either choice band, choice scarf, or if it wants to be something with Zen mode, a belly drum variant, which could be really cool too. And not to mention, since then, we have so many more Pokemon that can check it. For instance, Heatran, the best ice resist there is. Obviously, Heatran doesn't want to take a superpower Earthquake. However, Flash Fire, so it doesn't care about Flare Blitz. It resists U-turn as well. It can even run Flare Body, a Flame Body if it wanted to, but don't, because obviously Flare Blitz is going to smack you. But we have Heatran now in the current metagame, and obviously that's a Pokemon that's here to stay. That's a metagame defining Pokemon. So you couple in Stealth Rock plus Heatran, and then you have a pretty decent Darmanitan check. Melmetal is another mon that looks like it's going to be around for a little while. I don't think Melmetal is broken at all right now, especially with the birds and heavy-duty boots. And again, that's a big thing. We had just started to realize heavy-duty boots as defensive counterplay coming out of a metagame where heavy-duty boots was used on Pokemon to make them better offensively, like Nasty Plot, Max Airstream, Togekiss ran heavy-duty boots or Lumberry. Gyarados ran boots, so I didn't have to worry about Stealth Rock, but still Dragon Dance Moxie swept with its Max Airstream. So we were just coming out of this metagame where, okay, cool, Rotom, we're just realizing Rotom is good for the first time, right? Like, I mean, look at this metagame just to show you the usage stats. You still see Rotom Wash. Where is it? I think it's right here, number 18. You still see Rotom Wash as a mon that's used in OU, which is not something we've seen in many, many months. So Melmetal is another one that can resist the main stab move. And Ice Crash was the thing that honestly made it the most broken because of how strong it was and the limited resistances we had back then, and also the fact that it flinched, right? So on other sides, on more defensive bulky waters, we have Tapu Fini now. Obviously we still have Toxapex too, but Tapu Fini's one that can resist the majority of moves, if not all of them, if it's running Superpower instead of Earthquake. Though I think Earthquake is way better because of hitting Toxapex in one and good 4 times effective on Heatran, and you also don't lower your stats while using it. But Fini is a decent check to it as well. And of course, one of the big ones being Slowbro is back. It's been back for a while, but it wasn't around during a Galarian Darmanitan metagame. And of course, we still have the pseudo checks before, like Jellicent, Galarian Corsola, which gets better if Urshifu gets banned. Now, I'm not saying that we bring down Darmanitan right now. In fact, what I think OU should be doing is suspect testing Urshifu single strike. Personally, that's what I personally believe what OU should be doing, and then after that we test Pokemon that we want to bring down. But these are just a few Pokemon that I mentioned as well. In terms of other resist, we have Volcarona that came back too. In terms of shaky but Pokemon that punished Darmanitan, obviously Zapdos and Moltres are here. Yes, Ice Crash is gonna mess them up. But if Darm goes for U-turn, if Darm goes for Flare Blitz, if Darm goes for anything, there's a chance to be burnt or static. And we have this onslaught of Rocky Helmet plus Rough Skin everywhere. Shoot, even Clef is running it as well. And it's not hard to run a bulky pivot like Pex plus like 5 to do that, right? Like Pex plus Tangrowth is enough to deal with most moves, if not all of them from Darmanitan, except for the sub belly drum set. And also, I mean, not to take away from the argument and go into complex bans, which is a whole other conversation in itself. But I always hated the fact that, like, I couldn't use Zen mode because Gorilla Tactics Darm was broken. Going back to not being able to use Blaziken because Speed Boost was broken. I always hated oh, we can't do complex bans, blah, 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 blah. It ain't complex, man. Showdown tells me straight up if my Moveset is legal or illegal. Like, why do I have to worry about this? But that's a completely different story, a completely different argument. So the point is, I don't think that Galarian Darmanitan had a fair metagame. I don't think that it had a fair time to even be tested in the metagame. And I think that shoot, if Urshifu is allowed right now, why not just test this mon out too? And of course, that doesn't mean, and Urshifu's a decent check to it too. Won't die to attack, threatens it with Bandit Sucker Punch. The big thing is that Darm is always taking Stealth Rock damage no matter what, so rocks are hella easy to get up. While it would shift the metagame a bit more, I think that it would be not even like it might be broken, right? I think it might be broken, but that's the point. That's the point of a suspect test. Just find out if it's broken. We don't know. We banned it 13 days after Dynamax. Dynamax was the most broken thing we've probably seen in Pokemon history, right? And then Darm got banned 13 days after. 13 days is not enough to form a metagame, to have a strong metagame opinion, to have enough theory modding that Darmanitan will be broken right this instant. So that's my thoughts on Darmanitan and why I think we should unban it, and by that I mean why I think we should at least suspect test it at a point in this metagame. And oh, I didn't even mention, like, we have good Scarfers too that can revenge kill, like Kartana and stuff now, which is stuff we didn't have back then. Again, like, just to really quickly go through usage stats in terms of Scarfers that you saw here. Zero is slower, however it's faster with Sand. Dragapult was faster, but it had to hit like Fire Blast or Draco. Hydreigon could be faster and knock it out there. Ditto obviously being used because of how good Dynamax was, but also check to this as well. We're going down, no other Scarfers outspeed currently. There's freaking Dugtrio in that metagame. Like, come on, man, that's huge. Of course Darm's gonna be broken when Dugtrio is trapping Toxapex. Like, what? Of course. But it's not 100% guaranteed now. So now we have like things like Cart. We have Lele, which could speed tie as well, which gets better for We have Urshifu if you want to run that. Freaking Barraskewda's stronger too because of rain as well. Like, it's way better than it was early metagame. I mean, okay, no, not the first 2 days. The first 2 days of Dynamax, Barraskewda was broken because Max Knuckle was like coded wrong. It was like 120 or 140 base power. It was something crazy. At least the first day. I remember that. We have Buzzwole, which can at least check some moves and even a Flare Blitz from Scarf. Obviously, Bandit is going to be scary, but once you know it's Bandit, like, you can play around it. It's not Urshifu who's critting you and forces you to always run freaking Finny, Clef, or Buzzwole on every set. I think it has natural metagame counters that can fit on most teams. We have Lottie, which can be Scarf as well. Cinderace too. We have Grassy Glide Rillaboom, which is another good revenge killer as well after a little bit of chip. We have damn freaking Spectre in this metagame. Like, I feel like this is the meta where why not test that Pokemon? Why not? We have a lot of other Pokemon. And sure, it got banned in National Dex, and National Dex are area Pokemon, but National Dex also banned like Urshifu early and like Tornadus Theory and stuff like that too. So I don't think that's a good example of our metagame because they also have Z moves and things like that too. So this is why I believe that Galarian Darmanitan should at least be suspect tested. Let me know your thoughts. I might be crazy, sure, but I think it's unfair to say that it is straight up broken without even having it I've played it all in this metagame. We've had 3 different metagames since Galarian Darmanitan was banned. We had post-home, right? Well, actually, Galarian Darmanitan got banned halfway through the post-dynamax metagame. So we had 3.5. We had post-dynamax metagame, the other half. We had post-home metagame. We have Olive Armor, and now we have Crown Tundra. So, hell yeah, let's test this mon out. Let me know your thoughts, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.